Tonight, Russia launches the biggest aerial attack on Ukraine since its invasion began. Also tonight, pressure mounts on the US Supreme Court to weigh in on Donald Trump's eligibility to run for president. Should Australians pay a fee to use cash? More companies question the need for notes and coins. And preparing to party, the final touches put in place in SA to send off 2023 in style. Good evening, Richard Davies with South Australia's ABC News. Russia has pounded cities across Ukraine in one of the largest assaults in months, killing at least 31 people. For several hours, missiles, drones and debris slammed into factories, schools and hospitals. Ukraine had been warning Russia could be stockpiling missiles to launch major air attacks as the cold weather begins, reminiscent of Moscow's winter campaign last year.
In Ukraine's capital, a downed missile strikes the top of an apartment block. The city's skyline filled with smoke after several buildings were destroyed.
I was woken up at 7:30 by a horrible sound. It was so frightening. The missile was flying and everything was buzzing, so noisy.
A few days ago, our army shot down 3 Russian aircraft, then sank one of their ships. So I knew they would retaliate.
Kyiv is for the most part protected by air defence. But this time, the scale of the strikes proved overwhelming.
This is yet another sign for our partners to strengthen Ukraine with the required amount of air defence so that we could become the shield between the aggressor and Europe.
In Kharkiv, rescuers freed this man from under the rubble. Local authorities say more than 20 missiles struck the city. In Dnipro, a shopping centre was hit and a maternity hospital was ruined.
This morning at 7 o'clock, the war came to us too. Straight to our wards, straight to our delivery rooms. We were waiting for the new year, new lives to come to our maternity hospital.
Some of the deadliest attacks occurred in the southern city of Zaporizhia. Poland's president met with security officials after claims a Russian missile briefly crossed its border. In the embattled frontline city of Avdiivka, Ukraine's president celebrated the courage of his troops.
As everywhere on the front line, Donetsk, Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, Kherson, the left bank, it's difficult. It means pain and losses. Those are people that keep Ukraine alive.
A presidential salute to the Ukrainian soldiers fighting to push Russian forces out. Steve Kinane, ABC News.
Pressure is mounting on the US Supreme Court to weigh in on Donald Trump's eligibility to stand in the 2024 presidential election. The question has taken on new urgency, with a second US state disqualifying him, striking his name from ballot papers.
We love Trump! We love Trump!
The runaway frontrunner for the Republican presidential nomination. A campaign seemingly only boosted by a slew of court cases. But now Donald Trump's eligibility is in question, with Maine following Colorado's lead in citing the 14th Amendment to strike him from the primary ballot, finding he disqualified himself by engaging in the January 6 insurrection.
The weight of the evidence made clear that Mr. Trump was aware of the tender lead by his multi-month efforts to delegitimize the 2020 election results. And he then chose to light a match.
The Trump campaign says it will appeal the decision, describing the Maine Secretary of State as a hyper-partisan Biden-supporting Democrat. Once again, Mr. Trump's rivals are being forced to defend him.
It opens up Pandora's box. Can you have a Republican Secretary of State disqualify Biden from the ballot?
California and Arizona's secretaries of state have decided not to remove Donald Trump from the ballot. Attempts to strike him have been blocked by the courts in Michigan and Minnesota, and a decision in a number of other states, including Oregon, is pending. The patchwork of decisions between states adds to the sense that only America's highest court can decide the issue. And both sides in the Colorado case have already asked the US Supreme Court to weigh in. If the justices do take up the matter, it's likely to be one of the most consequential and complex rulings they make.
They're obviously going to be cognizant of the seriousness of removing a major candidate, in fact, the leading candidate for one of the parties, from the ballot. And so I think that will weigh in, at least subconsciously.
5A11 is a vote for Gore.
There is precedent for a quick decision. Remember the hanging Chads of the year 2000? The Supreme Court decided in a matter of days in George W. Bush's favour.
It's slightly detached.
Ending Al Gore's hopes of becoming president. Time is pressing now too. The Iowa caucus, which kicks off the election race in earnest, will be held in just over 2 weeks' time. Barbara Miller, ABC News, Washington.
Hostilities in Gaza have intensified in the southern and central areas, where nearly 200 people have been killed by Israeli attacks overnight. According to the UN, the casualties are in areas where Palestinians had been ordered to relocate by Israeli forces. The IDF is now attempting to encircle urban refugee camps in central Gaza, displacing tens of thousands more people. An estimated 100,000 Palestinians have streamed into the southernmost town of Rafah, which has already been overwhelmed by nearly 500,000 people driven from their homes by the war. Final preparations are underway for a spectacular return to the riverside for Adelaide's New Year's Eve show. Elder Park will host the fireworks and entertainment for the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic began.
These pyrotechnics take a lot of preparation, and there'll be some surprises among the normal sounds and sparkles.
We've got a few secrets up our sleeve, a lot of new colours and effects that people will appreciate.
The fireworks will be launched from 6 floating pontoons in Pinky Flat, with the midnight display also launching from the footbridge. Organisers are excited to be back by the river.
A fireworks display in close proximity gives people a totally different experience. Here, you've got a front row seat, guaranteed.
Entry to the Elder Park area is free and unticketed, but the park will be fenced and attendance capped at 25,000 people. There'll be free entertainment, food trucks and bars from 5:30 p.m. Many roads will be closed, so people are urged to take public transport, which is free of charge.
It's really great. There'll be free transport. Whether you're coming into the city or going down to the bay, wherever you're going, leave the car at home and have a good night out.
But with several fireworks displays occurring around the city, pet owners are being urged to make sure their animals are secured and stay at home with them if possible. The RSPCA is warning that animals die every year after getting spooked by the explosions.
Dogs running onto roads means that a lot of the time they do get hit by cars, unfortunately. We've also had instances where dogs have actually got impaled on fences.
Losing your furry friend is no way to start the new year. Eric Twarchek, ABC News.
The opposition says the state government hasn't done enough to manage levees along the River Murray a year on from the devastating floods. More than 50 levee banks were damaged during the once-in-a-generation flood event that swept down the River Murray from late last year. In June, the state government committed $6 million to upgrade the state's levee systems. The Liberals say the government still hasn't implemented a levee management plan and claims flood-affected farmers are frustrated with the lack of support.
They just need to know that they've got the back of the government to get these levee banks in action, get the desilting done so that they can clear their channels.
The work is ongoing, the work is critical, and the government is devoting its full attention to a long-term sustainable solution for that levee network.
As the use of banknotes for everyday transactions declines, there's been greater discussion about whether Australians should pay to use cash. Companies transporting hard currency are losing money, and experts say the Reserve Bank will need to support them if cash is to remain part of the economy.
When Tony Lepato started his business 36 years ago, nearly all his customers paid with banknotes.
Cash or card?
Just cash, mate.
Cash?
Yep.
Johnny Cash. It's good to see you.
In those days, it was probably 95% cash, and then you had cheques, whereas now we probably do 95% cards and 5% cash.
It's a reality playing out across the country.
Whatever the customer want to pay, so that's fine for us.
Like, we go to a lot of weddings and birthdays and we give cash as a gift. I'm just an old-fashioned girl.
I sort of fear, I guess, a society that we don't have cash in.
In 2007, 69% of Australians use cash to transact. That's fallen to 13% in 2022. The use of cheque has also plummeted and is being phased out. Card payments now make up 76% of all payments. That's putting financial pressure on companies like Armaguard that transport cash.
The Reserve Bank is going to have to step in and take some action to guarantee that these companies can survive and that cash can still remain as part of the economy.
Reserve Bank Governor Michelle Bullock has warned about the economics of keeping cash circulating in the economy and questioned whether Australians in future may have to pay a fee to use banknotes. For now, she says, if businesses did start charging people, there'd be very big backlash.
Halal butcher and grocer Hanidi Rabah says her older migrant customers would be outraged.
People are very funny even about a little surcharge. I can only imagine what that will do if they tell them they have to pay more to use their own cash.
For now, cash is still king for some. Nasim Khadem, ABC News.
The judge in the Bruce Lamman defamation case has ordered a YouTube publisher to front court in February after videos of the hearing allegedly appeared on his channel. Each day of the hearing, Justice Michael Lee warned viewers of the court's live stream any recording could be regarded as a contempt of court. Now an order has been issued for Glenn Logan, who is alleged to be the publisher of Feminism Debunked, to explain to the court why he shouldn't be charged with contempt. The hearing was considering if Bruce Lamman was defamed by Network 10 and journalist Lisa Wilkinson in an interview with Brittany Higgins when she first alleged she'd been raped at Parliament House. Mr Lamman launched the case after his trial was abandoned with no findings against him. A young girl is fighting for life after a 5-vehicle crash near Lithgow in New South Wales. 2 people died and 15 others were injured. 2 cars collided head-on around lunchtime on Friday on the Great Western Highway before taking out 3 other vehicles. Sydney father Jason McMahon and a 49-year-old man driving another car died at the scene. More than a dozen people were taken to hospital, including 5 children. A 9-year-old girl remains critical, while the others are now stable. It's prompted warnings for drivers to slow down and be patient during the busy holiday period.
Making sure that you're driving to the conditions. We don't want people speeding on the network. People would rather have you arrive safely than not at all.
And 2023 has been the deadliest on South Australian roads since 2019, with 113 deaths and 851 serious injuries so far. Drivers, primary producers and the state's motoring lobby all say the poor condition of our roads is a key reason so many people have died in crashes this year.
The Southern Ports Highway is a key road for farmers and fishermen. James Green is both of those things and relies on this road for his livelihood, but it's in constant need of repair.
So instead of fixing the job properly and doing it once, they just keep going patch up after patch up.
Many SA roads are in bad shape. The state's Auditor-General found there's a $2 billion backlog in regional road maintenance.
Things such as broken edges, general cracking, where the pavement itself has failed due to load conditions or a combination of weather and poor drainage ultimately mean the network suffers.
This high-tech survey truck is travelling the state to work out which roads need urgent work.
We can then have a master plan to be able to go and do a strategic direction for repairing of those worst roads out of the whole lot.
The government's commissioned a review to prioritise the most degraded roads, which is expected to report by mid-year. York Peninsula distiller Sam Colliver says the road in his area is one of the worst.
Yeah, it's basically a goat track. I'd just love to see this road fixed before there is a fatal accident, because it's only a matter of time. It's not if, it's when.
The growing state of disrepair is raising fears of more accidents.
It means that the repair job ultimately becomes more expensive, more complicated, but critically also it increases the likelihood of a crash occurring by the road users as well.
The state government has just increased funding for road maintenance by $80 million, a fraction of the backlog. It says it will ask the federal government for more money, but every other state is doing the same. Eric Twarchek, ABC News.
Chemicals found in common plastics are known or suspected to be contributing to a number of common health issues affecting Australians, including cancers and infertility. Endocrine disrupting chemicals, or EDCs, can interfere with the body's normal functioning, but there are small steps you can take to reduce your exposure.
As humans, we're exposed to combinations of so many different types of chemicals that it's often not possible for scientists to tell if and how specific ones can affect our health. But in the case of endocrine disrupting chemicals, or EDCs, the World Health Organization says it's wise to take precautions. More than 800 chemicals are known or suspected EDCs that may mimic, block or interfere with the body's hormones.
They can interfere with our normal regulation of our body, and so that's what could be quite dangerous about them.
EDCs are linked to a variety of illnesses, from cancers to cardiovascular disease, and a long list of other health issues like infertility and learning disabilities. Research shows EDCs present in 95% of people tested. So what can you do to reduce your exposure? One good place to start is in the kitchen. Mark Green is an associate professor in reproductive biology. He recommends foods stored in plastic, like takeaway containers, should be transferred to a china or glass plate or bowl before reheating.
If you've ever made something like lasagna, you put it in there and you can get that orange, surface around here. It's because it's actually the chemicals have actually come into the food.
Stainless steel or glass water bottles help to reduce exposure from the chemicals used to make disposable plastic bottles flexible.
So really it's the squeezy plastic water bottle we've got here, made from things like bisphenol A or BPA, which is the most classic one. So try not to use this.
Dietary changes can also help. Experts advise reducing intake of tinned foods, as plastic is widely used to line cans, and eating less oily fish, which can absorb chemicals from the environment.
Washing off fruit and vegetables, making sure that we're getting rid of any pesticides, herbicides and sprays that might have been put on there before, of course, consuming them.
A national approach to managing chemical use and disposal has recently been set up to deliver more consistent regulation and make it easier for industry to choose less harmful chemical additives in plastics. Selena Ross, ABC News.
Australia's cricket coach Andrew McDonald says Pat Cummins is making all the right moves as captain and will only get better in the role. Cummins showed his value as a leader and a bowler when he took 10 wickets in the series-winning victory over Pakistan at the MCG.
When the Australian captain needs a player to stand up and be counted, he doesn't wait for someone else.
As a player, I think the last 2-3 years have been outstanding, but as a leader, I think definitely grown, and I think you'll see him grow again.
Cummins' calm leadership was on display as Australia was challenged by Pakistan.
Across a test match, you wouldn't know what the score is based upon his body language. I think that's the art of captaincy, is to be consistent and connected with your playing group and your staff, and the ability to make the good decisions at the right time. And at the moment, the last 12 months, you'd say he's pulled a lot of the right levers.
During the second test win, Cummins overtook Richie Benaud to move into 10th spot on Australia's all-time wicket-taking list. But it's his strike rate that sets him apart. The captain takes a wicket every 46 balls, which is superior to everyone else in the top 10.
A pretty special company. The thing that's most satisfying is, the longevity that it takes to hit a few of those milestones, especially after missing a few years when I was a bit younger. So, it's always a nice little reminder.
Pakistan believes that it deserved to level the series.
Pakistan team played better than the other team in general. Our batting intent was better.
Cool. They played well. Glad we got the win.
The focus now turns to the SCG, where David Warner will fare well Test cricket on his home ground.
Yeah, we want to make it 3-0 as well, and then be able to appreciate what Davies brought to Australian cricket. Probably our greatest ever all-three format player.
A tough act to follow for whoever takes his spot at the top of the order. Duncan Huntsdale, ABC News.
In the Big Bash League, the Melbourne Renegades have claimed a 4-wicket victory over the Adelaide Strikers after dropping their skipper Nick Maddinson. The Strikers' Chris Lynn lit up Marvel Stadium early on, smashing his 200th sixth in the BBL and hitting the stadium roof on his way to a quick-fire half-century. But continuous wickets saw the runs dry up for the visitors, a 50 from opener Darcy Short helping Adelaide reach 177 runs. In a shaking start for the home side, import Quinton de Kock fell for a golden duck before Jake Fraser-McGurk quickly steadied the ship. His 70 of 37 balls and a classy innings from veteran Shaun Marsh saw the Renegades chase down the total for their first win of the season. Australia has made a disappointing start to the United Cup, losing both singles matches to Great Britain in Perth. It leaves the hosts needing other results to go their way to have any chance of progressing to the quarterfinals.
There were moments of brilliance from Alex de Minaur in his 3-set battle with Great Britain's Cam Norrie.
Oh, brilliant from de Minaur, he gets the break.
But after fighting back from a set down and forcing a third set tie-break, he couldn't get the job done.
And there it is. Gives it up with a double fault. What an effort from Norrie.
I had a lot of chances, especially in that third set, but hey, it's one of those matches that it didn't go my way. I think Cameron played better than I did in the important moments.
After missing almost all of 2023 with injury, Isla Tomljanovic looked off the pace in her singles clash with Katie Boulter.
Impressive fast start for Team Great Britain.
She forced Boulter to earn her win with a second set fight back, but couldn't find a way to set up a deciding third set. There was something to cheer about for Australia, newly minted doubles world #1 Storm Hunter and Matt Ebden winning in straight sets to salvage something from the tie.
We really had to win this match just to kind of stay. Obviously, we lost the tie, but at least stay in with round robin, you never know. So great to get the win and great to play in front of you all. Thank you so much for staying and supporting us. It means the world.
In Sydney, Casper Ruud dragged Norway back into its tie with the Netherlands after Aranska Rus beat Malene Helgo.
He's got him.
But he wasn't as polished in the mixed doubles, the Dutch claiming the tie 2-1.
All over the net. And it's all over.
China has claimed its first ever United Cup win, Zhang Zhizhen beating Czech Republic's Jiří Lehečka in 3 sets. King Wan Zheng then completed the double for China, beating reigning Wimbledon champion Marketa Vondrousova in 3 sets to claim the tie. Tom Wildy, ABC News.
After an almost 2-day wait for confirmation, the overall winner of this year's Sydney to Hobart yacht race has been crowned. Tasmanian Yacht Alive held on to record its second win in 5 years, with the handicap victory formalised in the early hours of this morning.
The moment the crew of Alive had been waiting for. It took almost 2 days to formalise the overall win for the Tasmanian Yacht, but at 3 a.m. this morning, the phone call finally came, confirming Alive's unlikely victory.
Definitely the odds were against us in the conditions in this boat, for sure.
Local knowledge proving the difference on the Derwent on Thursday as Alive rocketed home to snatch the first place standing and hold on for the win on corrected time.
It's quite ironic that the skinniest boat in the world with the least amount of riding moment just won a reaching race.
Even the loss of a crucial sail early in the piece was unable to slow the 66-footer down.
We probably should have replaced it before this race. So, but you know, there's the brakes. You know, I thought we had one more race in it. All right.
Well, not only has Alive now won the Tattersail Cup twice in the past 5 years, it becomes just the second Tasmanian boat to win the prestigious trophy on multiple occasions.
I'm really happy to see them win it. They deserved everything they got.
Between the incredible line honours finish and a Tasmanian victory in the handicap, organisers believe this year's Sydney Hobart will be looked back upon as one of the all-time greats.
Yes, absolutely yes. It certainly has panned out that way.
Kings Pier filling up this afternoon as crews successfully berthed in Hobart, including Antipodes with Lindsay May, who steered the yacht home in his 50th race.
It's just nice to be close to the finish. A bunch of great
About half of the fleet is still at sea in a battle with often treacherous conditions. A race against the clock to get to Hobart before the end of the year. Chris Rowbottom, ABC News.
With the top end heating up, many are turning to extreme ways of cooling. Ice baths have resurfaced as a way to chill out and fast-track recovery, but may also have other mental health benefits.
After a long run in the Darwin heat, what could be better than an icy cold dip?
I was very cold and I had to get out as quickly as possible.
My hands are starting to really hurt, but I feel really calm.
I feel so much better. I need to do this every week.
While it may not be for everyone, ice baths not only provide relief from wet season heat, but also contribute to physical and mental wellness.
Definitely Darwin's hot enough as it is, so we're in mango madness at the moment. Everyone wants to be a little bit colder, so yeah, it was a no-brainer doing something around the cold.
Joe runs weekly ice bath sessions, which incorporate breathwork and mobility to form an all-round recovery experience.
So we've literally just been starting out and we've got sold-out classes already, so it's just exploded into the market.
It seems like ice baths are getting even more popular in the Darwin area, with businesses popping up to offer both public and private sessions. So I think it's time for me to see what all the hype is about. Oh, that's cold. That's cold. Sinking into the 1 degree water, I had an immediate panic reaction. I was struggling to stop hyperventilating, and the almost freezing water felt like needles on the skin. But that feeling soon subsided. Well, I've only been in the ice bath for about 2 or 3 minutes, but I can already feel myself starting to relax. My breathing's slowed down, there's a little bit of tingling in my extremities, which is running all the way up the back of my neck to even my ears. And it's that relaxed state of being which Councillor Peter Burke strives to achieve, both for himself and his clients.
I'm a better man, I'm a better father, I'm a better partner, I'm a better friend. Everything is enriched from that space.
Working in residential rehabilitation and trauma counselling, Pete has found ice baths can empower his clients and put them in a better space to process their own trauma.
The ice bath is just a conduit, it's just a pathway. The intent is that we raise people's awareness and consciousness about their own experience, see where their edges of fear sit, and have them sit and face those in an empowered way.
So whether it's for mental wellness or just to cool down, now's the time to dive into the ice bath experience. Daniel Litchens, ABC News.
Not quite warm enough for an ice bath here, more on that shortly. First, a look at tonight's photo of a male superb wren sent to us by Chris Kirby. Morning cloud cleared to a few patches of sunshine across Adelaide this afternoon. In the city, it reached 21.8 degrees around 2:30 after an overnight low of 13.4. High pressure directed southerly winds over the state today, bringing isolated shower activity about the southern agricultural area. Skies were clear elsewhere. It was very hot across the far north, with 36 in Oodnadatta, cooler in the south with 21 in Mount Gambier. Cloud over the Queensland-New South Wales border is associated with troughs that are responsible for causing wild weather and dumping a large amount of rainfall there, with more expected tomorrow. That cloud over the southwest is also associated with the trough. Onshore winds feeding the trough will bring showers and the odd storm to that area, while the trough maintains heat over the west and north. Storms for Darwin tomorrow and showers for Brisbane, but a fine day is expected for the other capital cities, although it'll be cloudy in Sydney with 24 degrees, hot over the interior with 37 for the Alice. Closer to home, a fine day across the state to end the year, with plenty of sunshine across the north, 35 for Coober Pedy, 30 for Port Augusta. Mild to warm across the south, with tops in the major centres ranging from 22 in Port Lincoln and Kingscote to 29 in Renmark. The fine and sunny weather will extend into Adelaide as well, 26 for the city, down to 12 overnight. On the waters, winds tending southeast to southwesterly to 20 knots in the middle of the day, with seas to 1.5 metres north of Grange during the afternoon. The sun will rise soon after 6 o'clock and set a little after 8:30. Dropping to 14 overnight to see in the new year, then up to 28 on New Year's Day, 30 on Tuesday, a possible shower with 28 on Wednesday and up to 30 degrees for this time next week. And that is the news this Saturday from all the SA News team. Have a great night and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night.